Welcome to this week's edition of What Retirement Means to You with Jerry Means, CEO and founder of Means Financial Group. Good to see you this week, Jerry.
Hey, Rebecca, how are you doing?
How's everything at your lake house? Was it beautiful this weekend?
Oh, it's doing great. Had a really enjoyable weekend down there. So.
And when you work like you and you plan right and you look ahead and strategize, you can have a lake house of your very own, right?
Yeah, work hard, play hard. That's my motto.
And I also love when you say pay money and play money.
Yeah, paychecks and play checks.
Oh, see, I wrote it down wrong.
That's all right. You got it, though.
All right. Well,
you got the concept.
That's right. And it's like work like a captain, party like a pirate, right?
That is actually a saying on there. I own the T-shirt.
You do, you see?
I'm just kidding.
Well, we'll get you one.
All right.
Okay, so we love taking your questions. Thank you so much for sending in your questions. And this is one I've never heard before. A lot of our questions are kind of similar, but this one I've never heard. I'm sure nothing stumps you, so we're going to go for it, okay? So Jared says that his mom passed away 8 years ago, and he just came of age at 21. He was told that he inherited his mom's IRA. What does that even mean, and what do I do with it?
Okay, so there's a couple of things there to talk about with inherited IRAs. If someone inherits an IRA before 2020, there was something called a multi-generational IRA,
okay,
which means you could pass the IRA on to your kids, and you could take out what's called a required minimum distribution, which most people have to take when they reach age 72. They have to take a little bit out of their IRA, whether they want to or not, to pay taxes on it, or else they'll get hit with a substantial penalty. The penalty's 50%. So, but when you pass it on to your kids, you were able to take out a smaller percentage out, and they could stretch that IRA out over their lifetime, just taking a little bit each year. However, in 2020, they changed that rule. So anyone that passed away after 2020 and left that money to their kids, they now have a 10-year window from the date of the owner's death to liquidate that account. So they can't stretch it out over a lifetime anymore. Now, the IRS hasn't been real clear on the rules.
Big surprise. Yeah. I'm sorry. I shouldn't do that.
So, yeah, so some of those are being tested. Some of the things are being tested. But the gist of it is that over that 10-year period, that account has to be liquidated. You can take out a little bit each year, or you could wait 9 years and 8 months and take it all out and pay the taxes all at once. You probably don't want to do that because we think taxes are going to be higher 10 years from now than they are today.
That's a good guess.
So you're just deferring, you're getting compounding, but you might get hit with a tax time bomb at the end of that.
Right.
So often it's better to kind of structure it and take a little bit out each year so you pay a little bit less in taxes, and you'll have, take the balance of that money and you can reinvest it somewhere.
Okay.
So the rules have changed. A lot of people think the old rules are still in effect, and they don't understand that they only have 10 years to draw that money out. You also have to make sure that if the owner passed away, let's say in the middle of the year, and they haven't taken their required minimum distribution, that distribution based on their life expectancy still has to be taken out, just like if they would have lived to the end of that year.
So he can keep it, pay taxes on it. You can help him do that, of course. But you could keep it for your lifetime? Does an IRA grow?
Yeah, so if he's had the money for 8 years, he's already probably doing the multi-generational because his mom passed away before that rule.
Gotcha.
So he's probably okay on that. But
good.
But for some of the other listeners out there who maybe have just recently inherited money, or they know that they're going to inherit money soon, you have to know that the rules have changed, and you need to know what the tax implications are and the penalties for not taking the money out in time. And that's something that we do help people with.
All right, absolutely. All right, let's take some more questions. We have a question from St. Peter's, and that's where your office is.
That's right.
Okay, and her name is Angela, like your wife.
Oh, all right.
Is there a certain time I should look into my Social Security? Do I need to take it at a certain age? I like what I do, but would not mind going part-time. Does it matter if you're part-time or full-time when taking Social Security benefits?
It does matter. And, well, it depends on your age. So if you draw at 62, which is your first year that you're eligible to draw money out, and you're not full retirement, let's say that her full retirement, we don't know what her age is, but let's say that her full retirement age is 67. Everyone can start drawing at age 62. However, if she's going to work part-time, I don't know the exact number, it's right around $18,000, between $18,000 and $19,000 a year, that you can earn without being penalized on your Social Security. But if you make any money over that dollar amount, you have to pay back $1 of every $2 of Social Security that you draw.
So that just discourages you. Why would you want to do that?
So that's one of the things that you need to think about. You know, if you're thinking about drawing Social Security, am I gonna, if I'm drawing before full retirement age, am I going to, that's when you get your full benefit without a reduction, because you are going to get a reduction too. It's a lesser amount at 62. But if you do that, are you going to work? That's something that everyone needs to consider before they trigger that Social Security benefit. Now, if they're just going to be doing some part-time stuff, you know, I have a client that she's a bus driver for schools. You know, just because she wanted to have something to do, she enjoys the kids.
Yeah.
And it's a little extra income for her.
Get you up early.
Yeah, but she, you know, she's in and out, and you know, but it gives her something to do every day. She looks forward to seeing the kids. You know, the kids love her. You know, as a bus driver. So it gives her something to do, but also she's staying underneath that limit. So it's extra income. It doesn't affect her Social Security. Now, once you reach full retirement age, whatever age that is based off your birth date, it might be 66 and 7 months, it might be age 67, you can make as much money as you want and not get penalized on Social Security. You still might have to pay tax on Social Security, but you won't be penalized on Social Security.
And part of your plan is, of course, Social Security, even Medicare. Who in your office handles that portion? I know you oversee everything, of course, but who kind of, tell me about your team that handles those benefits.
So when I get a Medicare question, obviously there's general things that I can answer. And early in my career, I did like the Medicare Supplement, Medicare Advantage insurance for my clients. But as my practice grew, you know, I focused more on the retirement income planning part. But that Medicare piece of the puzzle is really necessary. So my wife, Angela, is licensed in the office, and she handles that part of the insurance. So we send out letters to people, hey, you're turning 65. You need to get together with Angela and talk about your options. And then every year during open enrollment, we can shop for them, too, based off their doctor and prescriptions and to see. But I do most of the long-term care planning, the retirement income planning part. I have a team behind me that helps with that, but I spearhead all of that, and I meet with the clients personally on that.
That's wonderful. And you mentioned long-term care. That is a big thing. I know my mom needed that toward the end of her life. Is it something you get insurance for? Is it something you just save for? Is it a bucket of money you keep? How do you do that?
Well, it's all of those things, but I think some ideas are better than others, right?
Right, of course, and everything.
So, you know, I have clients that have enough money that they can self-insure themselves. But I always say, why would you do that if you can shift that burden or that risk to an insurance carrier? But when you go with an insurance carrier, you have to understand there's lots of different types of plans that you can purchase. You can get annuities that pay income for life, which can help you with the retirement income plan. But then they have what's called an income doubler. So if you need long-term care or home health care, it will pay double the amount that the income was supposed to pay. So if it's an annuity that was paying $40,000 a year in income, all of a sudden it'll pay $80,000 a year.
Wow, I've never even heard of that. That sounds good.
And then, you know, there's also traditional long-term care insurance, which I'm not a fan of because
it's expensive, right?
It's expensive, and there's a lot of rate increases. You know, you might not see a rate increase for 5 years, but then it might double.
And you have no control. There's no cap.
There's no control over it with most of the policies anyway. So I've had people come into my office and say, Jerry, I bought this when I was in my 50s. You know, now I'm in my 70s, but this thing cost me 3 times what I originally paid for it. Should I cancel it? Well, now they're in their 70s.
And they've spent all that money.
And they might need it now.
And got
hate to see them cancel it, so we have to weigh out, you know, is it okay to go ahead and keep paying that premium? Because it's really dangerous to say cancel that and then they need it, you know. So what's best is to have the right plan out of the gate, and that's understanding all of your different options and all the pros and cons.
And that's one more reason and example of why it's better to get started earlier thinking about your retirement. There's the number 844-878-1293 to meet Jerry Means and his wonderful team at Means Financial Group. The office is in St. Peters, and we have a very special offer for just a certain amount of callers today.
Yeah, so basically for the next 10 callers, we're offering our on-track retirement review. And we'll sit down with you, you'll sit down with me personally, and we'll talk about your healthcare situation. We'll look at the long-term care options for you. We're gonna do a complete portfolio analysis, make sure you're not paying any fees that you shouldn't be paying. We wanna make sure that you're not taking more risk than you should be taking. And we wanna do a written income plan, and we're gonna stress test that, put a lot of hypotheticals in there, and we want to get you to that high probability of obviously not running out of money in retirement. And that's something that we can help you with. It's no cost, no obligation. We're offering it to the next 10 callers because you are going to meet with me personally. But again, call the number 844-878-1293.
And stay with us. We're going to explore what retirement means to each of you when we come back.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Welcome back to What Retirement Means to You. We were talking before, Jerry, about long-term care options. Let's elaborate on that. You mentioned that annuities can have doubling income or income doublers.
Yeah, so that's just one great benefit of some of the new generation annuities that have come out. And now, not all annuities are created equal, so not all annuities do this. So you have to be very careful and you have to know all of the different nuances. That's where expertise can come in and help you with that. But basically, when you add an income rider to an annuity, it gives you a certain roll-up every single year, and then when you trigger the benefit, it'll pay a lifetime income stream. And that lifetime income amount comes off of the balance, but the balance still participates in interest rate returns. So, but there is a possibility that you could, somewhere in your retirement, maybe 20 years in retirement, that bucket of money could run out, but you're still getting a lifetime income stream. If the interest rates perform very well, there's still money left in the account when you pass away that goes to your heirs. But some of these annuities, if you need long-term care or home health care, basically a doctor just needs to say that you can't do 2 of the activities of daily living, things like transferring in and out of bed. Maybe you need a wheelchair or a walker, incontinence, memory loss, things like that. There's 6 of those. If you can't do 2 of them and a doctor says that, you can trigger the income doubler benefit.
Wow.
And so if that annuity that you had was paying $40,000 a year, now it pays $80,000.
That's amazing.
And if it's
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, and if it's a joint income annuity with you and your spouse, it'll pay 1.5 times. So in that same scenario, it pays for the life of both spouses. But if one of the spouses need long-term care, it'll pay $60,000 a year. It's a really great benefit. Now, it might not cover the total expense, but if you have some money where you can kind of self-fund a little bit, but also have that to supplement it, that's one way of doing that. But you're doing, instead of just buying long-term care insurance, you're building an income plan.
That's brilliant.
With a little caveat on there that we also have some built-in long-term care insurance.
So what if best case scenario, you go through life, you and your husband stay healthy, you don't need to click that on, what happens to that money?
So you still have the lifetime income benefit whenever you need it, but whatever's left in the balance when you pass away goes to your beneficiary.
It's yours.
So go to your kids, grandkids, or whoever you've named. So it's a really, really good benefit that a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah.
And not all annuities or income annuities offer that. There's only a handful of them out there. And I don't want to get into specific companies, but that's something that I can talk with someone if they call us and come into the office. But that's just one idea. And the other thing that's great about that is there's no health qualification.
That was my next question.
Yeah, most of them have a 3-year waiting period. So you can't buy the annuity, turn on the income, go into a nursing home, and they double it, right?
Right.
Too good to be true.
Right.
But most of them have about a 3-year waiting period. So as long as you've owned the annuity for 3 years and haven't had any of those benefits or had to trigger any of those benefits, you can start it and it'll continue. So if you have problems with different health questions that maybe you couldn't qualify for regular long-term care insurance. This could be an option for those people.
And in this particular situation, let's just say I'm in my mid-50s. Is it something we should do soon, or is it something you wait to do later?
So long-term care is so there's two answers to that question.
Okay.
On the annuity, it really doesn't matter. You can buy an annuity at any age, and there's no health qualifications there. So that's okay. I mean, but if you buy it when you're in your 50s, you're going to have longer for that to accumulate. It's going to pay a longer lifetime income benefit, which doubles it. So I guess the sooner you do it, the better, but you could do that at any age.
Okay.
When it comes to long-term care insurance, asset-based long-term care, I'll get into that. Those kind of products, the younger that you buy them, the better, because they are age-based.
Okay.
So the younger you are, the cheaper, like life insurance. The younger you are, the cheaper the premium is going to be.
Right.
So what asset-based long-term care is basically you can put your money into an investment. It has a death benefit, like a life insurance policy death benefit that's tax-free, by the way. If it's properly structured, tax-free death benefit.
Okay.
So only 3 things can really happen when you buy this type of policy. And again, they're not all created equal. I always have to, for compliance reasons, I always have to throw those caveats out there. But there's only 3 things that can happen when you buy asset-based long-term care. It's one of my favorite tools.
Okay.
You put the money in there. It grows. It does grow based on an interest rate. It has a death benefit that's tax-free. If you never use the money, it's going to pay a tax-free benefit to your heirs. And usually, if you put $200,000 in and you're in your 50s or 60s, it might have a $400,000 death benefit. So you just doubled the money tax-free to your heirs.
That's awesome.
So you didn't buy long-term care, because most long-term care, when you pay those annual premiums, it's a use it or lose it.
Right.
It's like our homeowners insurance.
That's what I was wondering.
But with the asset-based long-term care, if you don't use it, there's a death benefit going to your heirs. Or you do need it, and a lot of times it'll pay triple the amount, give or take based on the age, triple the amount that you invested. So if you put $200,000 in, you might have $600,000 in long-term care insurance. And now you have to qualify for that.
Sure.
But so the other thing that happens is you don't need it, and you don't want to keep it so you pass away. You want to cash it out. A lot of them have a return of premium rider. So after 2 years, if for some reason you want to pull all of your money out, you can do that and not pay any penalties. So that's the only 3 things that happen, right? You change your mind, you pull your money back out.
Yeah.
You need the care. It pays triple what you put in. Or you die with it and you leave a tax-free benefit to your heirs. It's a really, really good solution versus just paying those annual long-term care premiums that are probably going to increase 30, 40, 50% over your lifetime.
That's brilliant. And you mentioned that when you pass away, your heirs don't have to pay. I thought you had to pay taxes in every phase of money. I thought there was inheritance tax.
Well, asset-based long-term care is considered life insurance, and life insurance is a tax-free benefit.
Fantastic. I love it. All right, we need to take another break. Unbelievable. What retirement means to you. That is what we are exploring today. Ask yourself these questions. What's your goal? What's your dream? What year may you want to retire? And it may be sooner than you think. Invite them into your office, please. Give them the phone number and tell them what they can get today.
So for the next 10 callers, we're offering our on-track retirement review. There's no cost, no obligation. This is designed for someone who's over age 50, has saved $250,000 or more for retirement, and they see their retirement on the horizon, and these are all things that they have questions about. We want to sit down. You're going to sit down with me personally. I want to get to know you. I want to find out what retirement means to you. What is it that you want to do in retirement? What are your expenses going to be? And we'll sit down and we'll look at what is your long-term care options. What is your Medicare supplement, Medicare Advantage options? Do you have the right risk in your portfolio? What are you paying for those fees in that portfolio? Do you have any tax planning in your portfolio? What are some things that we can do that are going to help you down the road? Those are all things that we can address on the On-Track Retirement Review. And I'll answer any other questions that you may have that we didn't talk about today. But just give us a call, 844-878-1293. No cost, no obligation, available to the next 10 callers.
Thank you, and absolutely no pressure as well. So there's the number on your screen. Give us a call right now and stay with us. More from Jerry Means right after this.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
All right, welcome back. We were discussing long-term care, and I think there's two worries of most seniors, and that is, of course, most of us running out of money, and then if we might or not be able to afford long-term care. So let's keep exploring that. What are some other things you can do to make sure you're going to be all right?
Sure. So we've talked a little bit about the annuities with the income doublers. We've talked about asset-based long-term care, which is a fairly new concept to the industry, but some really, really interesting tools out there. I'd love to run some illustrations for some of the people watching. But there's also life insurance that has what's called accelerated death benefit or living benefit riders. So again, you buy a life insurance policy, maybe you have a $400,000 death benefit. You have to qualify for the life insurance, but it has a death benefit accelerator. So we all know that life insurance is for when you pass away, and it pays a death benefit to your heirs to cover different needs, income replacement, to maybe to pay taxes on an estate. There's a lot of reasons to have life insurance other than burial insurance. And there's lots of different types of life insurance that people need to look at. Most of these types of policies are universal life policies or index universal life policies. We'll get into that maybe later, but they have a death benefit. Let's say their death benefit's $400,000. If they need long-term care or home health care, just like with the annuity doubler, if they file a claim and they can't do 2 of the 6 activities of daily living, the life insurance company will allow you to accelerate your death benefit. So you can get some of that $400,000 before you die.
That's wonderful.
And then the heirs get the balance left over that you don't use towards the care. So again, it kills 2 birds with 1 stone, right? Maybe not the best analogy, but basically, you know, you have
it's there when you need it.
Yeah, you have. If you don't need the long-term care, no harm, no foul. You've got a life insurance death benefit that can cover taxes on your estate, just wealth transfer to help, you know, because life insurance properly structured is tax-free. It's a way to pass. It's the most efficient way, honestly, to pass money on to your heirs.
Really?
But you can have benefits like that as well, but if you don't use them, it still does other things. You're not just focusing on the long-term care insurance. So I just think it's a better option than some of the traditional long-term care policies out there.
And I think we've all known someone, I can count many of my friends that had to stop their life, make a big decision, take care of their mom, move their mom to live with them. The mom didn't want to live with them. There are so many, I'm sure you know people that that's happened to. You don't want to be a burden to your children.
No, I mean,
but it happens.
And that happens. I mean, I'll have a client say, you know, a client that comes in. I had a client that recently came in, and her daughter are really close. They've made an agreement. She's transferred some assets and, you know, made her like joint owner because she's going to pass it on to her anyway, and she doesn't need the money. But you know, with the promise that she's going to take care of her when she gets ill.
Yeah.
And that could work out to be great. I hope that, you know, she never needs the care.
Right.
But if she does, I'm sure that her daughter will help her out.
But
and for some people, that's the plan is, well, my kids will take care of me or my son or daughter will take care of me. Well, what if by the time you need the care, they're not able to take care of you?
Exactly. Or they marry a guy who's not very nice. He doesn't want you around.
That's true. You know, there's family dynamics there. But,
for sure.
You know, we talk about the sandwich generation. A lot of the boomers are taking care of their parents and their kids. You know, they're stuck kind of there in the middle.
I know people like that.
And that can be very difficult to do.
Hard.
So, you know, most people don't want to pass that burden on to their kids. They want to have some type of plan. And you know, you can spend down your assets and then maybe qualify for Medicaid, not Medicare, but Medicaid. But then Medicaid controls where you're going to go, what facility you're going to be in. And most people don't want to do that unless that's the last option.
And that's income controlled, right? You have
Yeah,
to
so
earn under a certain amount to even be eligible?
Correct. So if you do have money, they're going to make you spend your money first.
Of course.
Until you get to a certain level, then it's going to kick in. And most people, they want to be in control. That's what all people want, or especially retirees, they want, right? They don't want to be a burden. They want to stay in control of their assets.
Stay in their homes, most likely.
Yeah, and some of these plans that we're talking about will help people do that. And just like the life insurance, right? I have clients. I had a client that, his name was John, and he had about $2 million in his IRA, had another $1 million in fixed income products. He didn't want any market risk.
Annuity. Yeah.
And I was talking to him, and I said, what's your end game for this money?
Yeah.
And he said, and this was a while back, he's in his 80s now. This was when, right when he was turning 70 and a half, when that rule was still, the RMDs were 70 and a half. And I said, what's your goal? And he said, I'm going to leave this money to my kids. We don't need it. We've got plenty of other money, plenty of income, everything's paid for. This is transferring to them. And it was all IRA. And I was like, do you understand what the tax implications are going to be? I mean, the kids are going to be great, right? I mean, you can name me as a beneficiary. I'll deal with the taxes too. But do you know what the tax implications are going to be? And he's like, yeah, I get it. I said, why don't we take your required minimum distribution each year, pay the taxes on it, take the balance of the money and buy a life insurance policy, a large life insurance policy that's going to leave a tax-free benefit that's going to cover the taxes on the IRA. But in the meantime, if you need long-term care, you can accelerate the death benefit rider. He's like, why wouldn't I do that? And I said, well,
fantastic, because no one's ever told you to.
Yeah, and what we actually ended up doing is we put it into an annuity with a guaranteed income rider. So he'll always have the payment for the life insurance. It's never going to run out. But his RMD was about $60,000. He paid $20,000 in tax. He had $40,000 left over. That $40,000 a year he puts into a life insurance policy.
And it just keeps growing.
It's going to pay $1 million death benefit.
Amazing.
And he still has money left in the $2 million IRA. So when he passes away, his kids get what's left in the $2 million IRA plus the $1 million tax-free life insurance. They're going to be okay, and they're probably going to be future clients of mine, I would think.
I was just going to say, they're going to love Jerry Means.
Yeah, so, it just depends. Everyone's situation's different.
Right, that's why you have to know them so intimately. I understand
what
that.
you don't know can hurt you. There's a lot of great vehicles and products and solutions out there that people aren't aware of, and they can get on Google search and find some of these things, but to really understand them and what's the best option, it's usually helpful to have someone sit down and go through them with you.
Absolutely. We are already out of time today. We want to thank you so much for joining us on What Retirement Means to You. It's always a wonderful day to be with Jerry Means. He has so much information. And just a final goodbye, Jerry, and invite them in to see you.
Well, Rebecca, thanks for all the kind words. I always enjoy doing the show with you.
My pleasure.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just said my pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. So basically for the next 10 callers, we're going to make an offer to you. I'm offering my on-track retirement review. This is for someone that's over age 50, has saved at least $250,000 for retirement, and they're concerned about these issues. Long-term care is just one of the things that we cover on the on-track review. We're going to look at portfolio analysis. We want to look and see what your income plan is going to be. So basically for the next 10 callers, give us a ring, 844-878-1293. I'd love to meet with you personally. Give us a call. Jen will set you up with me.